Welcome to the Psychosocial Safety Summit coming to you in Brisbane in October 2024. This year, we're doing things differently and introducing you to the speakers and supporters in the lead up to the event. I want you to get to know these incredible people before you arrive. And if you haven't got your ticket yet, jump on the link below. Now, I'd like to introduce you to John Toomey, who's the founder of the Wellbeing Thought Leaders and the host of Good Bloke, Not Woke, among other things. Thank you so much for joining me, John, and thank you so much for being part of the summit. I can't wait to hear from you.
It's really cool, Nicole. I'm really looking forward to it because I was looking through the agenda and you got some really cool speakers, and I'm really looking forward to, one, meeting them in person, and two, hearing what they've got to say. So well done pulling all that together.
Thank you. They are absolutely incredible. And I'm very honored and grateful for everyone who's coming to speak. And we're really diving into the things that you don't talk about at work, that are swept under the rug, or they're just too hard. So I love that this is an entire summit focused on solutions of the really, really tough stuff. But before we get into what you're going to be chatting about, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and experience for people who might not have met you?
Oh, golly. Yeah, so I originally came out of physical education, did my master's studies in applied physiology, just always a really curious sort of person. So that led me down many paths. And I worked in high performance, mostly in the AFL for a long time. And when you're working with athletes, you find athletes that don't really match your Western science learning. So you got to step outside the box. So eventually I started talking with yogis and Qigong masters, and then I started to get interested in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine and natural medicine, and sort of really sort of expanded, I suppose, my thinking and my understanding of human well-being. And I've always been a teacher. My gift, I suppose, is communicating and getting complex points across in a way that anybody can really understand, whether it's written or spoken. So I think I've delivered like over 3,600 seminars in workplaces across Australia and New Zealand and around the world. And I've published 700 more articles, written a couple of books, and and created a lot of courses as well. So, part of my background was also teaching at university. I taught in physical education, and I spent a couple of years teaching in medicine as well. So it was a very sort of broad path that sort of gave me a lot of skills that I can share with people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how unique and different it is compared to not only the rest of the summit speakers, but for other business around the wellbeing area as well. There's a lot of focus on mental health and wellbeing, which I know you do, but the way you look at things and your background coming into that just provides a unique perspective. And obviously, you're very successful in that area as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's really, well, I think it's responsible to look at any situation from as many different perspectives as you can. Because if you just accept one perspective because it sounds impressive or it sounds authoritative, well, then you bind yourself to that for eternity. And it's a bit like how everybody came bound to the belief that cholesterol causes heart disease. And so therefore, if your cholesterol is a bit high, you need to go on cholesterol medication. I mean, that belief has made pharmaceutical companies extremely wealthy. But what we know and what we've known for a long time is those drugs don't work. And cholesterol plays very little role in heart disease at all. But it's only the people who kept questioning that were able to break that down. So anything in the workplace, just because somebody's a bit authoritative and they've got a dogmatic viewpoint, doesn't mean they're right.
Yes.
And, I think all of us have got to be better at questioning and feeling when we're a little bit uncertain or we're not clear or we're not quite sure, and keep asking questions. That helps everybody.
It does. Questions are truly the answer. And yet the diversity of different thinking is an incredible way to be innovative and move forward. And I know that you've done a lot of that in your career. And you're also the founder of the Wellbeing Thought Leaders. What's that all about?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because wellness is a term that I first heard in 1984. And I thought, oh, what a wank, you know. And it took me a few years to soften to it, but it started to come in, and then it became a trendy term. Everybody's in wellness. You know, even plastic surgeons are marketing themselves as being in wellness. The pharmaceutical industry's learned how to jump on board. Um, and I thought, wow, you know, what is it? Is it the real key to human thriving is being well, so well-being. And so I thought, well, how can we offer some direction that can lead people into a path where they can learn how to confidently be more responsible for their own lives,
Mm.
their own well-being, their own happiness, their own peace of mind, their relationships. And so we realized that we had a lot of material and a lot of understanding, and I suppose a lot of wisdom accumulated over time. And so we thought, well, okay, we can start leading the pack here a little bit. So that was the foundation of the Wellbeing Thought Leaders.
Love that. And
Mm.
you also have a podcast called Good Bloke, Not Woke. What do you chat about on that?
Well, really, it's a podcast that's about healthy masculinity. You know, and in recent years, the poor old middle-aged white man has been in the crosshairs of everybody who's involved in some form of radical diversity, equity, and inclusion. And whilst, I mean, I'll be honest up front, I think DEI is a waste of time, and it's a waste of resources, and it creates uncertainty in workplaces, and it creates conflict.
Mm.
What I'm more interested in is everybody just respecting each other's humanity. That's pretty simple. And so this sort of woke attitude that's sort of really percolated up through the ground in the last 10 years, it's driven us into some areas that are really not productive. And it's just costing companies a lot of money to try and keep everything on an even keel, you know? And in that, the guys have sort of, they've, they don't know how to be.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is help them to just really reclaim good, solid, healthy masculinity, which I describe as developing a robust moral compass and then having the courage to live by it,
Yes.
you know. And I have no doubt that all men have got that capacity, because you look at every time there's some sort of environmental disaster like floods or a hurricane, or, you know, what we call them, you know, in big storms or even earthquakes or bushfires,
Mhm.
some of those men, they are tireless.
Yeah.
Their deep and innate desire to relieve suffering and care for people it's soul shaking, you know, and they've got that beautiful capacity, and I want to help them to bring that alive in themselves on a day-to-day basis without needing to be reacting to some emergency. So Good Bloke podcast, a Good Bloke Not Woke podcast is all about just having those discussions, and it's a great fun podcast.
Yes. And I love, again, that you look at things with a different perspective, and we could really go down and talk about so many different things on everything that you have just shared. But this is just a quick intro to you so that people get to understand who you are and what you're going to be chatting about at the summit. But I would love to park some of those and we'll come back to them and maybe chat about them on Under the Rug.
Yeah, sure.
But one of the other things that you're also leading, you are the global chair of the Workplace Wellbeing Initiative at the Global Wellness Institute in Miami. Can you share with us what the focus of the Institute is and what you do there?
Gee, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
No.
I mean, really. It's like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, really, isn't it? So the Global Wellness Institute, founded by Susie Ellis, who's just this amazing powerhouse of a woman. She's a tiny human being, but my God. And it's really risen into prominence as the world's preeminent body for the dissemination of wellness information, wellness trends. Like they do the wellness economy now, which is exploding in size. Like in 2023, the global wellness economy was $4.3 trillion, and a year later it was $5.6 trillion. So it's really exploded coming out of COVID. And they have a number of initiatives that specialize in different areas. There's 33 initiatives, and one of the initiatives is workplace wellbeing. And for the past 4 years, I've been the global chair of that initiative. And from day one, I said to my team, stop looking over your shoulder. Don't worry about what big medicine or big pharma think of what you're doing. We're the wellness experts. So I want you to be bold, and I want you to push walls over. And it's been amazing. Like, they've really done incredible work. I'm stepping down at the end of the year and handing over to an amazing lady named Jessica Grossmere, who's from California, and she's just extraordinary. She wrote an amazing book on workplace wellbeing. And I'm then going to start 2 new initiatives. One will be wellbeing in sport. And I just basically want to get that started and recruit some good people in, and then hand it over for them to run it. And I'm going to start one on men's wellbeing. So I'm going to have some fun with that one.
Fantastic. I love that. Again, we could talk so much about it. But for people who do want to get to know you right now and can't wait until the summit, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Oh, look, just send me a connection request on LinkedIn if you like, or my email address is just jt@wellbeingthoughtleaders.com.
Fantastic.
And yeah, just drop me a note and let's talk.
Fantastic. There's a few people that are coming to the summit as well that I want to introduce you to, who I think can add value to the initiatives that you're going to launch next year. So
Fantastic.
super excited to meet you in person. But can you share a little teaser on what you're going to be talking about at the summit?
Yeah, I was talking to my wonderful wife Lassen about this earlier today, and I was explaining to her about some of the vernacular we use in Australia. And, cricket vernacular is everywhere because we're all so passionate about cricket. And I talked about how a batsman, when he's batting, if the bowler can get him to go on the back foot, then he's defensive or she's defensive and struggling to make runs, and oftentimes the bats person will go out, right? Whereas if the bats person wants to really be on the offensive, they get on the front foot, and they play shots, and then the bowler's in the defensive position, right? So what I'm going to talk about is learning to live on the front foot.
Great.
Yeah. Create your life in a way that makes you, shields you from mental health issues. Really gives you a robustness that will leave you feeling really good all the time. So, and part of what I talked about in the podcast will come into that, but it'll be much more expansive than that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much, John. I'm so excited to meet you at the summit, and also for future conversations. There are so many things we can dive into. I love talking about the things that no one else does, and I feel that you really do that as well, as do the other summit speakers. So very grateful for your involvement and looking forward to meeting you in person. Thank you so much, John.
And you too, Nicole, and thank you. I mean, I'm really grateful to be involved in it. And like you, I'm looking forward to hearing the other speakers. And anybody who's tuning in, if you're not quite sure, just register, get your bum to Brisbane, and let's commune. Let's have a good time.
Love it. Before the tickets sell out.
Yes.
Thanks, John. See you there.
Thank you, Nicole. Take care.